Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. We're going to have another treat today. A lot of really creative ideas in a beautiful transit. And we're going to meet Babz. Hi Babz, welcome to the channel.
Hi Bob, nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's you've got a fantastic van.
Thank you, thank you.
Really creative ideas that I've not seen before. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I have limited carpentry skills, but I have very good skills working with PVC pipe. It's lightweight, easy to cut. And I say the top half of my van was built with PVC pipe.
Yeah, and it looks like it's working out great.
It's wonderful. It's easy to work with and it's easy to fix. I haven't glued any of it down because it's too difficult to get in. Every once in a while I have to fix it because it kind of on these bumpy roads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how did you end up living in your van?
Well, I was 26 years old, trying to juggle a car payment, a rent payment, which at that point was only $350. And I just couldn't see it. It was winter, it was hard, it was difficult for me to live inside of houses in New England, a little allergic to the heat, cats, all those factors. And I just put it all together. One day I picked up a Vans for Sale magazine at 1 a.m. in the morning and opened it up. And there was a Vanagon, a Volkswagen Vanagon for sale. And I called and I bought it.
And so have you been a full-time vander since 1996?
I have taken breaks. I went to care for my parents. My mom had Alzheimer's. And while I was doing that, I actually finished my undergraduate degree and got a master's in public health. And I have live-in caregiving. I'm really good at working with people with Alzheimer's or other kinds of challenges. And so I've had a couple of those, one for a year and a half and 3 or 4 months for other ones. So I do jump out of it occasionally.
And so since 1996, you must have lived in a bunch of different vehicles.
Oh, I have. The first one, like I said, that Volkswagen, I lived in that for 8 years. And then I traded it in for a Dolphin, a Toyota Dolphin. That one met a catastrophe and it actually burnt up and down, I say. After that, then had a series of, I had a Subaru wagon I lived out of.
Right.
One of those old-time Toyota vans. I lived in that one. And then I lived in I got myself a Sunraider, and I lived in that for 10 years. And
so how were you supporting yourself through this time?
Well, for 18 years, I worked out of Massachusetts in the weather, the nice weather. And I worked for a temp agency that did human service-related placements. So we did relief work. And so I would call them a couple weeks before I got back towards the Northeast and say, hey, I'm coming. And they'd say, oh, great, we have a 3 to 11 on Tuesday night. We have a weekend work here. And it was a different schedule every single week. And I loved it. And it was oftentimes last-minute stuff, and I loved it. So I've gotten a little spoiled. I have a hard time thinking about a real job with a real schedule. But that evolved into substitute teaching. And I became really a traveling substitute teacher. I also was what they call a trimigrant in the cannabis industry.
Oh, okay.
And so I would make really good money, work really hard. But because I had my own vehicle, I was very attractive to the farmers. Right. Because they didn't have to feed me or house me. So I did that for 10 or 15 years, really, on and off.
And where did you do that it was legal?
California.
Oh, well, it was...
Yes.
It was legal in California.
Yes, it was legal in California. And then I did it in Colorado as well, and it was legal in Colorado. I'm looking forward to maybe doing it in the Northeast this summer as well.
Yeah, as it spreads across the
nation. Yeah.
So you're still doing that. That's one of the ways you support yourself.
Yes, I would be willing to do that work. I also, I'm going back to Massachusetts for the summer because I have a great niece, my great niece Kate. She's 8 years old and she has cerebral palsy. And so I have been hired to be her personal care attendant for the summer. That's gonna be great.
Right.
She has a Ford Transit as well, Kate does. And it's wheelchair accessible, so I get to take her on outings.
So you must have made pretty good money because you've been able to support yourself for the last 22 years on these kind of jobs.
Yes, although how I was able to afford the new Transit was my dad had died. So this really is, I went to a psychic and the psychic said to me, your dad wants you to buy a house. So I bought a Ford Transit.
Oh, you did? There's your
Yes,
house.
exactly, yeah. So, and I even still have a loan. I took out a loan because I read in the AARP says you're supposed to die with debt. So,
Why not?
right.
Right.
So,
That's not a bad practice.
right. So I owe like $300 a month on it. And I think that's reasonable considering if I was trying to find a job in the city and rent and all that, you couldn't touch that. So I still think I am cheap RV living.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Yeah.
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 There's gives and takes with debt, but if it works for you, it works for you. That's great.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'm part of the teachers credit union because I also worked in MoaB, Utah as a substitute teacher. But then one year they hired me full time to do a contract in the special ed department. That boosted my income actually for 2 years.
Right.
So that worked out really well.
And so I love MoaB and spend a lot of time there. Were you out boondocking while you were teaching?
I have a friend who has land there that I was boondocking on that land.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
So you weren't paying any rent?
Nope, no rent. Yep. And I had a classroom that had a full kitchen, a full bathroom, big screen TV, and a couch.
Yeah, you were set.
Yeah, exactly. And they would be like, "Oh, you work really long hours, Babz." And I was like, "Yeah."
They love you.
Yeah. I'd throw a crock pot with chicken in the morning. I mean, I was special ed kids. I was teaching them how to cook and bake and all those things. So it was right within the flow. But it'd be funny every once in a while. People say, "What do you got the kids cooking today, Babz?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it's my chicken dinner for lunch." Yeah.
Wow, and if you are open and we'll go with the flow, life will present you with those kinds of things.
That is exactly.
Yeah.
That is it. I say I am never out of creator's light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the principle I live my life by as well.
Yeah.
And I wish more people would. It's hard.
Yeah.
That letting go and saying, I'm
Yeah.
not going to know exactly what's going to happen this year or next or
Right.
ever.
Right.
That's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But I could never have planned my life the way it is today,
Yes.
ever.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have planned your life.
No.
But you're living exactly the life you want,
Yes.
just the way you want it.
Yes.
And you're really in control of your life.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So I know people out there, I know how people are going to write in and listen to this and going to write in. And the big question is going to be, but you probably haven't been paying Social Security and you're going to get older and not be able to work. What are you going to live on then?
Well, actually, I have been monitoring my Social Security, and it seems like I could be earning about $700 or $800 a month.
Right, which is, you live cheap enough, you can do it.
Well, and that's it. Most of the jobs that I have had have been on the books.
So, yeah, you are the living embodiment of how I live my life is just, if you're open to the universe, you go with the flow, you're a good, honest, decent person, things work.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And they sure will have worked for you.
Well, it's interesting because the design, I knew I wanted to have a little different design than the things that I've been seeing. And at one point I was struggling how to fit it all together. And what I actually found is some of the solutions actually came from dream time. I think we're really kind of connected to our ancestors in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Carl Jung?
Yeah.
That's one of his core beliefs, that we are, through our dreams, we are connected to our archaic man.
Yes. Yeah. So one morning I woke up, I was at the van build, and I had actually been slated to have them work on my van, but there seemed to be other people, or women, that were a little bit desperate. They're nervous about it. They're like, "Oh, my van doesn't get built. I'm not going to get my bed built today. I'm sleeping in a tent and I can't stand it." And I'm like, "Go ahead of me. Go ahead of me." And I let all these people go ahead of me. And during a 2-week van build at the last few days, it was like, okay, now it's time to get mine done. The night before, I came up with the design to store the bike.
At just the right time.
Yeah, yeah.
Had you gone early,
Yep.
you wouldn't have got what you should have had.
Yeah, yeah. So I felt really like in the flow then, and I think I'm in the flow a lot, but sometimes it really is, compelling.
Yes.
That
being in the flow is tricky.
Yeah.
Our brains get involved and it gets a little mixed up and jumbled up. It's tricky.
Yeah.
That has been my experience.
Yeah.
I'd be certain I'm in the flow and then it goes to hell and I realize, well, I couldn't have been in the flow or it wouldn't have gone to hell.
Right.
So.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's it. What I learned over these years, and I say, is, let's see, how does it go? I cannot control nor predict my future.
Right. Right. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'll flow with that, then in the future will be great.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I would tack onto the end there.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard because I do want to plan. Need to plan for the weather. We need to plan for getting there on time, you know. But
and we do.
We do.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just willy-nilly being
Right.
blown around.
Right.
And finding that balance is also extremely difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Do I let go of this, or man, I better take hold of this and run?
Yeah.
And you never are 100% sure.
Yeah.
If you have an honest heart, it'll work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What have you not gotten a chance to say? What is the one thing you would really like to say?
What I'd like to say to probably so many of the new women living on the road is they really need to can understand if they can grasp it, that they are never out of Creator's light, and that this is a real free lifestyle that they can have if they can shed the majority of their fears. Worry is something that is a waste of energy, and if they can swap that over into some sort of prayer or meditation, every time they feel like they want to worry about something, they just toss it out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Advice to live every moment of your life.
Yeah.
As much as you can.
Yes.
It's hard to let go, but
it
if
is.
you can.
Yeah.
Anytime you can.
Yeah. And I mean, I can say that from now. We say, oh, well, she's living off of an inheritance. She's got a brand new van. But this is how I felt when I was pinching pennies. I was a dumpster diver.
Right.
I ate better as a dumpster diver than I do as a person who buys food. You know, you find all the vegetables that you want in the dumpster.
Right.
You know, so there's ways to survive.
So if people are interested, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there right now would love to talk to you. How can they communicate with you?
Well, it's pretty exciting. I finally got a YouTube channel, and it is Babz, the White Wind Traveler. And I only have 2 videos now, but this video may come out in a few more months, and I'm adding them as I can. So it's very exciting. And I have a blog as well with the same name at wordpress.com.
Babz, the White Wind Traveler.
Yes.
Okay.
And that comes from, if you ever have heard of Mayan astrology.
Not really.
Yeah. Mayan astrology. In Mayan astrology, I am white, self-existing wind. So that's where that comes from.
Based on your birth
date. Yeah.
Standard astrology.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't really know much about it. It has these little sayings as a white, self-existing wind person, but it just, when my friend did it for me and said it, the title just rung true.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, that's me. Yeah, white, self-existing wind.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I envy it.
Yeah, we'll have to find yours.
Yeah, I will. I'll look
Yeah.
into it. I'd be very curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious about all that stuff.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Babz, for sharing your life with us and your outlook on life. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
So now we're going to end this video, folks, and we're going to take a tour. So come right back for that and see the tour of her vehicle. You will be so glad you did. Lots of really great ideas. So if you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later.